Assalamu alaikum. I am Nafian Khan Muzlish and my ID is 221155035. Today I'm going to discuss about the network address translation, which is NAT. Now, what is network address translation? It is basically a process used in networking to modify IP address information in packet headers while in transit. Again, it also helps and allows in multiple devices on a private network to share a single public IP addressing, also enables secure communication with external networks, except for example, like the internet. Now, the next topic is introduction to NAT. Now here we will discuss about the concept, purpose, and mechanism of NAT. First of all, the concept. NAT enables multiple devices in a public-private network in the private network to access external networks like the internet using a single public IP address. Now, the purposes of NIP. In the purposes of NIP, it helps in reducing the need of multiple public IPs. It also hides internal network details from external entities and allows private networks to communicate with the internet. Now, the mechanism. In case of mechanism, NIT maps private IP addressing to a public IP. Now, my next topic is NIT fundamentals. Here we have discussed private IP addresses, public IP addresses, and NIT table. Now, first of all, the private IP addresses. In case of private IP addresses used with private networks, which is internal network addresses reserved for internal use, not routable on the internet. And use again the public IP addresses. It is used on the internet, globally routable, assigned to devices by internet service providers. And the last of all is NAT table, which tracks mappings between private and public and data structure maintained by the NAT tables mapping private IP addresses to public IP addresses. Now here I will discuss the type of NATs. Here we can see that here three types of NAT is mentioned. One is static NAT, another is dynamic NAT, and another is port address translation, is PAT. Now, what is static NAT? It is a one-to-one mapping between a private IP and a public IP, and which is also used for hosting servers accessible from the internet. Now, the next one is dynamic NAT. Dynamic NAT is the map that maps private IPs to a pool of public IPs. It also a public IP is also assigned temporarily from the pool. And the last one is port address translation, which is port PAT. Many private IPs share from a single private IP. It also differentiates devices using port numbers and also known as NAT overload. Now, here we'll discuss about the NAT transversal techniques. Here you can see that we have discussed three types. One is hole punching, NAT keepable, and UDP hole punching. Now, first of all, the hole punching. It establishes a direct connection between two devices behind NAT using a signaling server to bypass NAT restrictions. The next one is NAT keepable. It maintains an active connection between devices behind NAT, preventing the NAT device from closing the connection due to inactivity. And the last one is UDP hole punching, which is similar to hole punching, but it utilizes UDP packages to establish a direct connection between devices, overcoming NAT restrictions. Now, benefits of NAT. Here you can see that we have discussed three types. One is IP address composition, inner security, and the last one is simplified network management. In case of IP address composition, it reduces the need for unique IP addressing by sharing one public IP among multiple devices. NAT allows Now, the enhanced security. In case of this, it NAT hides private networks from external threats, providing an additional layer of security for internal devices. And simplify network management. In case of this, NAT simplifies network management by allowing administrators to manage a smaller number of public IP addresses. And now the challenges of limitation and limitations of NAT. Here you have seen connective issues, performance degradation, and security concerns. In case of connecting issues, NAT can make it challenging to establish direct connections between devices behind NAT, requiring special techniques to bypass restrictions. Now, the performance degradation. NAT can introduce latency and packet loss, potentially impacting the performance of applications and servers. And the last one is security concerns. NAT can be vulnerable to security exploits such as NAT transversal attacks, requiring security measures to mitigate risks. And now the last, which is the conclusion and the future trends. Here you have seen that IPv6 adoption, advanced NAT techniques, and lastly the security enhancement. In case of IPv6 adoption, the adaptation of IPv6, which provides a large address space, is expected to reduce the need for NAT in the long term. Now the advanced NAT techniques. New NAT techniques such as the NAT64 are being developed to address the limitation of NAT and enhance connectivity. And the last is security enhancements. Continued efforts are being made to improve the security of NAT, including the development of stronger security protocols and techniques. Now that's all from me. Thank you.